Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Saor, Amidst the Ruins, out February 7th on Season of Mist. This album comes out with 5 tracks, 59 minutes in length, and it's the band's 6th full-length studio album. They are a Scottish, atmospheric folk black metal band. This album, right off the get-go, surprised me. It surprised me because it was more versatile than what I was expecting it to be. I was expecting this album to force me to sit down and really listen to these songs in the context of the record in order for me to get the most out of its overall experience. While there is some truth to that, you can take these individual songs out of the context of the album and you can see their own individuality, their own fingerprint, their own path, their own journey. Each and every single song on this record has a beginning, middle, and end, and with that comes a path, with that comes a journey that allows you to go deeper into the individual songs outside of the context of the record, and then if you go deeper into the album and actually experience them in a row as they're meant to be experienced, then you can see the tapestry that weaves these songs together, and you can see not only one path, not only one journey, but how different paths allow for a much longer journey overall. That is how this album is constructed, and I feel the versatility behind it is definitely a huge selling point. As far as the sound is concerned, and I want to talk about just the sound, I'm not talking about vocals, not talking about lyrics, just sound. This record comes across as a soundtrack, as a score, a movie score or a TV show score. Like if you watch a show like Outlander and you listen to this record, any song on this album could be used as the soundtrack to an episode, to a scene, to a moment, to a season, whatever it is that you want, because it describes the background, the heritage of those that created through notes, through music, through sounds, and then therefore through emotions in the atmosphere that it creates. When you listen to this record, it's almost like you can visualize nature. You can visualize mountains, you can visualize creeks, the water flowing through them, the beauty that exists in it, the beauty that surrounds you, how much space there is to breathe, for these songs to travel, for the sound to become larger, to become a picture that develops in front of you. But it's not all about that sense of clarity and that sense of beauty, that sense of harmony. This album also offers the other side of the coin, the darkness, the melancholy, the sadness, the sorrow. All of that is represented there. You always have to have a yin with a yang, and this album does it extremely well. Not on a song-by-song basis, but weaved within the same track, you're able to experience the best and the worst in terms of the emotions that this album puts forward through its sound. The folkiness of the record takes you to a very specific place. I think that's where that background, that heritage of where the band is coming from comes into play, because that folkiness allows you to feel connected with that specific place, with that specific spot, with the nature that comes with it. I think that's a very important and integral element of how this record is put together. Then you're allowed to shape those elements with other things around it, either be the heavier guitars, the more driven guitars, the drums that have such an earthy sound all the way through the entire record. All of those elements are there now to shape that experience, to add the melancholy, to add the darkness, to increase or decrease the size of the space and how much the tracks are allowed to breathe. It's almost like a living organism through sound. It's a very well crafted, well delivered, well created sounding album with a lot of intricacies on a song by song basis. You could also see what connects these tracks together, especially when you're listening to the album from beginning to end. It's incredibly easy to spot the red line that connects all of them through, allowing you to put together individual paths into a much longer journey. A well-designed record that allows you to see that clearly from the get-go. And then you have also the incredible overall melody that this album offers, because it's not just about the darker side of the sound. It's not just about creating a sense of emptiness, a sense of darkness, a sense of roughness, a sense of sorrow and melancholy. It's also about creating great melodies that describe different kinds of emotions, different kinds of places, that describe in more detail what the lyrics, what the vocals are then complementing on a track by track basis. I felt like the overall melodies and how they're delivered, either through the guitars or through the folk instruments, allow this album to be more dynamic. It allowed you to create the same melody on a single track using different instruments, which gives the track more mobility, makes the track more dynamic, more engaging, more perplexing too, because your ears have a much harder time adjusting, and they have a much harder time feeling a sense of complacency with it. The songs never get boring or repetitive, even though the melody navigates you through it. It's just presented in different formats, and it's weaved in different formats with other elements around it. So it's a very intricate record to listen to, but one that also simplifies its mechanisms, making the listening experience easy, straightforward, and super entertaining, and allowing you to engage with it right from the start, and always feeling like you're able to go along for the ride, understanding exactly what that ride is giving to you. What's the scenery that's putting around you. Then obviously you have the vocal performance, which I felt was really important on this record to counterbalance some of the melody that we see, some of that openness that the tracks have, some of the epicness of the album. It's really important for this record, for the vocals for the most part, to be those harsh, cavernous vocals that bring a sense of black metal into the music, that bring that darkness, that sourness into the music. I thought that was really key for me, because the album overall, sonically, it's not very heavy and it's not very dark. So adding those vocals, or having those vocals throughout the album, definitely help balance things out a little bit better. I also enjoyed the clean vocals, the female vocals. All of these elements added different layers and added different textures to the songs, and made things more dynamic. It made songs more robust, and it didn't allow this album to feel repetitive, monotonous, redundant. And even though, like I said, even though there are a lot of songs that go back to the well frequently and multiple times throughout, you never really tire of it. You never feel like it's, oh, here we go again, that melody again. That idea never really comes forward. It's almost like you're hearing it for the first time. And that comes from that texture, using different styles, different approaches, using the vocals in different ways, layering the vocals, harsh vocals with clean vocals working together. All of these elements allow you to repeat the ingredients, but changing the formula. That's how this album is presented, and it's presented in a very epic way, making this, like I said, a very movie score, soundtrack style approach. And in my opinion, it's my favorite album from the band, because I felt like it was the one that painted a vivid picture the best, and allowed me to connect with it, and allowed me to enjoy it with its versatility, either from start to finish or just on a track by track basis, depending on the occasion and the time that I had available to do so. That versatility is one of the elements, but in my opinion, the element that really sets this album apart, and it's going to give it the attention that it deserves. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Echoes of the Ancient Land. This track opens up very driven, very dark, almost like more of a black metal track as it gets going, both musically and vocally. But then you start to add the folk elements, the atmospheric elements, and then the track changes. The track morphs into something else, morphs into a more of an epic song, a little bit more open, a little brighter, a different sounding experience. Adding clean vocals brings a different texture. The way the vocals are layered brings a different texture, even though the sound behind it at times is still heavy and cavernous and black metal inspired. The way the vocals are presented, almost thins out that experience. It just allows that sound to be aggressive, to be intense, but not to have the same condiments that a traditional black metal song would have within its sound, creating more of a blend, creating more of ebbs and flows. This is a track that really feels interesting from start to finish. The vocals allow the sound to have the dynamics that it has. It's a very rich, it's a very dark, atmospheric, open, epic, folk, black metal song all around. It's all of those. Then you have a song like Glen of Sorrow. This is a track that has a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys. It has driven black metal riffs. It has more open atmospheric pieces with chanting, clean vocals, female clean vocals, like chanting almost like a siren, if you will. It blends these worlds with ease. It allows you to navigate through them with ease, but it's definitely a song that carries its title. It's a song that has a lot of sorrow, that has a lot of pain, and that is a constant on this track, and is represented not just in the sound that you're listening to, but it's also experienced in the vocal performance throughout. It's a track that has that ability to showcase the highest peaks and the beauty that comes to being on top of the world, but then also the deepest valleys, where perhaps you feel a little bit more in the shade and you feel like there's a little bit more darkness around you. So the sorrow within this song that's in the title, it's in the sound, it's in the vocal performance, it's in the overall song experience. Last but definitely not least, the closing song on the record, Rebirth. And this, to me, this song has an intrinsic beauty in it, and it's a track that, what I found interesting about this song is that if you look at every single track on this record and you see the elements that went into making those songs, the melodies, the folk melodies, the guitar melodies, the way the folk elements are mingled into the soundscapes, the openness of the record, the beauty of the record, like all of the elements that we saw throughout the entire album are in this song. But somehow within this track, you're able to see a much clearer picture. You're able to see all of those elements, but with a sense of hope, a sense of a new beginning. This song doesn't have the level of darkness, the level of sorrow that both Echoes of an Ancient Land and Glen of Sorrow have. Those two songs feel deeply connected with the past, but with this almost a sense of resentment. This song has a new beginning. There's a new light. You still have the same scenery, you still have the same condiments, you still have the same elements, but it paints a more hopeful picture using the same sort of approach that we saw in the entire album. And because of that, it's a great song to close off the record, because it doesn't allow the album to close off on a negative mindset, on a dark mindset. It actually closes off the record on a very positive note. And for an album that throughout perhaps will offer a lot more of a dark sense of emotions, a song like this, it's definitely the right reset point for those of you that want to go back and listen to the album again. This is it. Saor, Amidst the Ruins, out February 7th on Season of Mist. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.